Today, I'm going to talk about how to operate social media accounts on Chinese social media platforms. I'll be focusing specifically on RedNote, also known as Xiaohongshu, then DouYin, which is the Chinese version of TikTok, and WeChat channels. There are other ones like Bilibili, but I've never tried anything on there. How do these platforms differ from each other? How different are the user bases that they have? What kind of content runs well on different platforms? I currently have about 120,000 followers combined and probably around 400,000 likes and saves. I operated there for about 1 year and 3 months. I didn't start on all platforms at the same time. I started out with RedNote. Reason is I don't really consume social media by myself, so I had to ask people for advice which platform would be the right one. And for this kind of focusing very heavily on cross-border e-commerce, like sharing tips how to sell on Amazon or operate a web store, everybody said, okay, you should focus on uh, RedNote first because the quality of users there is the highest. Since ever then, I've been posting one video per day. I only talk in Chinese, and that has been running quite successful. RedNote was the first one, and then as I saw the initial success, I started syncing my videos to DouYin as well. And it grew okay. There's a small caveat here because I went gradually. Some of the content has an expiration date. Let's say Amazon changed a certain policy and this happened a few months ago, then there's no point of using that old video and posting it again because the policy is all already been changed. And also another one, RedNote is a platform where PPT style, like slides, image content can go very well. Whereas on Douyin, this doesn't work. So Douyin, there's a lot of content which I didn't sync over to Douyin because of the differences, but most of it is already there now. There's also one metric people have been telling me, one follower on RedNote equals 5 followers on Douyin. I think they talk about this from the monetization perspective, but so far, Douyin for me has been running okay. Then at one point, the company I'm working for is called Carbon 6, and they have been seeing that I've been running those social media accounts quite successfully, only talking about cross-border e-commerce, which is exactly the field where we work in. We focus on providing services to Amazon sellers globally and also, of course, to Chinese sellers. And my social media success has been quite useful in promoting our business. So the company asked me to take over the corporate social media accounts, which I did. This happened in May 2025. And it was okay. Same concept, one video per day, talking about cross-border e-commerce. And as I saw those numbers, another thing happened. So I saw that actually WeChat channels is a good social media channel. So I started syncing 3 weeks ago my personal content onto that as well. Now, I also at one point started uploading all these videos to YouTube. It's just not the right platform for this. So far, only just a bit more than 100 followers there. Now, you could say like 120,000 followers. That's not so impressive after 1 year, but you have to keep in mind that this is a hyper targeted audience. Only if you work in e-commerce or if you sell on Amazon, you will follow my account. Now, what can we see in this data? There's one interesting point here. You will realize that while my personal RedNote account has been very successful, the corporate RedNote account has been not successful at all. And I think the main reason is RedNote is very sensitive if you try to divert traffic off the platform. If you ask people, oh, this is my phone number, call me, then they will limit your traffic. Or if you upload content that is more promotional in nature, then they will also limit your traffic more. Whereas my personal account, so it was more just knowledge sharing, and this is something they very like. So my personal one was more successful. Let's go into differences with respect to audience and content. So RedNote is slightly more female for me, but in general, there's more females consuming social media on RedNote. It's a lot of young professionals, more educated. Originally, RedNote was invented as a social media platform for Chinese who were studying overseas. So a lot of content that you find on there, there's a lot of travel blogs, restaurant reviews, a lot of fashion, more targeted towards females, maybe cosmetics, etc. People go onto that platform from my perspective to learn something. So sometimes I share content about how to interview with big tech companies, and this kind of content goes really well on RedNote. I think also there's a lot of like English learning kind of channels on RedNote, so there's the audience there. DouYin, very different. DouYin is definitely more male and more on the younger side. Probably would say that the educational level is slightly below RedNote, and it's very entertainment heavy. Yeah, viral videos. You can get a lot of traffic, less focused on learning, etc. And PPT style posts do not work very well on there. Now, WeChat Channel, I didn't notice that before, but looking at the data later, I saw that WeChat Channel is, for me personally, is a very good channel to promote. It's very focused on a male audience again, but more on the older side. I would also say a higher educational level. And from my perspective, a lot of like company founders, CEOs, they're following me on there. I didn't try PPT posts yet, so cannot comment on that. What content is easily to be taken down? And for my content that has been taken down that I posted, one, content that has been related to Trump tariffs. That's very interesting. If it goes through, it goes viral. I get like hundreds, thousands of views for this kind of content, but it's also very easily that the platform will take those videos down. They want to avoid that people talk about this and spread rumors. Another content type which has been going on is Amazon. At one point, they blacklisted two service providers from China who were doing product certifications. I don't remember the specifics, but I think they filed an appeal, one of the service providers, and then the platforms took down that specific video. One other interesting thing is if you talk about tips and tricks, how to operate social media hacks, then they will flag those videos and might take them down. Yeah. Also, if you cross promo platforms, let's say you make a video about RedNote and promote RedNote and put that onto DouYin, another platform, then they will probably limit your traffic. The base traffic and how traffic gets recommended, that's an interesting one. So for Xiaohongshu RedNote, I think for a new post, it's around 400. If your post gets below 400, then your account has a problem. Either you have like a traffic limitation, or your content is just not very good. For Douyin, I believe it's 1000. That's what I see from my data. And then for WeChat channels, I guess it's also 400. And then based on certain performance metrics like click-through rate, bounce rates, like rates, or content in general, I think there's like a back-end team that evaluates different videos and then pushes them to the next tier. And once you're in the next traffic tier, then you get a lot more content pushed again. There's certain caveats when you operate these platforms as a non-Chinese national. So one is identity verification. For RedNote and for WeChat channel, you can verify your account with your passport. For Douyin, you can not use your passport. You have to have a permanent residency, so-called green card, to get your account verified. Now, why is that a problem? It's because of live streaming. So it's quite difficult to get approved as a live streamer on these platforms as somebody who does not have a Chinese ID. For Xiaohongshu, it's not possible. And this is the truth. I even got in contact with their team and asked about this. So what they told me is simply you can only live stream on RedNote if you have a Chinese ID card. Now, you do see a lot of foreigners going live on RedNote, and I think there's two ways how they do it. They either use somebody else's account, but I think there's a certain risk associated with that. Those accounts might be taken down easily. And the other one is they might sign up with an MCN or they use a legal entity, a company registered in China, and put then kind of the account under there. And then there's some certain ways like that. Now, for Douyin to go live, you also need to get verified. So that's possible if you have a permanent residency. But from what I heard is once you reach 500,000 followers on Douyin, they will also accept passport as a verification. For WeChat channels, I just recently started. I don't actually know. I think, well, I'm already verified, and I think it's possible. It's like the most easiest to go on live stream there. Personally, I do not like live streaming. I don't like to watch it. I don't like to do it. I did some for our company. Performance was okay. Now, the other thing is monetization. You will need a Chinese bank account card. And of course, if you're based overseas, that's not very easily to get that. So I don't know how other people do this. If you're based here, you have a Chinese bank account, you can sync it up, then you can monetize via the platforms. Then off traffic diversion, as I mentioned before. So RedNote, if you try to get in touch with customers and have them add your WeChat. So WeChat is like the super messaging app in China. And this is what mostly people want to do. They want to get everybody into their WeChat and add them there. And if you try that on RedNote, the platform will restrict your traffic severely. And this is what I mentioned before, why our corporate RedNote accounts didn't run too well. Douyin used to have the same problem, but it's not there anymore. You can add people freely. You can exchange content information. And for WeChat channels, it doesn't matter because it's WeChat. It's already that platform. So you can very easily add private information there. If you want to know more, it was a very broad overview of operating Chinese social media. You can leave some comments there. So yeah, let me know in the comments.